The Chicago Bears having a number of injury scares. We're going to talk about those. Plus, we're going to talk about 3 keys for the Chicago Bears against the Cincinnati Bengals and dive a little bit into the mailbag. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it for today, y'all. Between the constant injuries, the drive-killing penalties, and red zone frustrations for the Chicago Bears, we've got a lot of things that the Bears need to be working on here as the season goes on to tighten up and hopefully be able to at least contend and compete for a wild card spot. That was always my goal coming into the season, of the Bears being able to at least be in that conversation as we go towards the end of the season and hopefully be able to be in that and sneak in as a wild card. We already know it's difficult in the NFC North. It's going to be difficult anyway, and the NFC overall is going to be difficult. And the Bears have a number of things that have really kind of hurt them. And with it being Halloween, we're going to talk about some of the biggest scares that the Chicago Bears have with their season so far, but I want to start off talking about this. The injury report. Wide receivers DJ Moore, Odunze, and Olumide Zaccheaus returned to practice, albeit in limited fashion in yesterday's practice, which is a sign that they're progressing along as they need to hopefully be cleared by Sunday's game. Luther Burden still remains in concussion protocol. He's not playing on Sunday. Don't even worry about it. It's highly unlikely he's going to be playing on Sunday for the Chicago Bears. And then with cornerback Tyreek Stevenson and Cole Kmet, they made their returns back to practice. They were still limited participants in practice, though, but that's where things sit right now. DeAndre Swift still did not practice for the second straight day, which does raise the concerns of him being available in Week 8, and we'll see what ends up happening there. In Week 9, so we'll see what ends up happening there with him. But as it stands right now, I would not be surprised if he ends up missing the game as well. The Bears, the injuries have been a thing this season, and when you talk about things that have really impacted this Bears, and we can naturally transition to the next thing, things that have really hurt and should be scary for this team as the season goes on, is injuries. Injuries have been in abundance for the Chicago Bears so far this year. So, literally since Week 1, we've been dealing with injuries. Before the season even started, we lost Austin Booker, we lost Terrell Smith, right? And then you look at Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon and TJ Edwards and Grady Jarrett. Like, all these guys have missed time on top of like what we've had. And so, the Bears' depth, I don't know to say if the depth is better than what I thought coming into the season, because of the way that we still have performed at 4-3, even the season with all the injuries that we've had. So much so that with Kyler Gordon and Braxton Jones now going on the IR, right? The Chicago Bears went out and they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who, is going to come in here and help play that nickel role that's left a void with Kyler Gordon being out. So injuries continue to be a big thing for this Bears team. And it's, when you look at the story of the 2025 season for the Chicago Bears, there's an impossible way to say that injuries weren't a big part of that. Now, for what it's worth, they're going to have to figure it the hell out. Nobody's stopping and playing the world's smallest violin for you because you have injuries on your season. Every team's dealing with injuries, so nobody's stopping and giving you any sympathy party for it. So now you got to go out there and try to figure out a way to still be successful and to still be content and to still play a solid enough game even without the injuries being there. I mean, even without those players being there. So, like I said, nobody's stopping for the Chicago Bears to give them a pity party. And I wouldn't want it if they were. Fuck that pity party. So the Bears are going to have to continue to figure this thing on out, man. And that's just the season. Every season has its obstacles. Every single season has its own set of things that give you a problem or make your season more difficult. And, the Bears are dealing with some that are internal. They're dealing with some that are out of their control as far as like the injuries. Like they didn't do that. Even for the people like, oh, well, we need a new conditioning team. Like I always say, I think people really kind of misunderstand what a medical staff is there to do. Like it's very few injuries they can stop overall. Now, once you get to the point of ramping up and trying to return and improving, if you have the things that keep falling behind on that, that's where you run into the situation where it's like, okay, all right, now our medical staff is failing us. But even overall, like I said, the injuries are going to be a thing. They're always going to be a part of the story of every season. They're just more so now with this season how they went for the Chicago Bears. So the injuries are going to be a thing that the Bears have to learn to overcome anyway and play without anyway. That just comes with the nature of the season, and every season is going to have its own thing, and every season is going to have some type of injuries. You're going to have to come over either way. But let's get into some other things. The biggest thing with the Bears, too, is the self-inflicted thing. We talked a lot about the penalties, right? The Bears have struggled with penalties literally since before the season started. And that's just something that the Bears are going to have to continue to work on. Ben Johnson is driving him crazy. The Chicago Bears have committed 30 penalties for 255 yards, which is one of the worst marks in the NFL. They're going to have to tighten that up if they're going to want to be in the best position to win some of these football games. And especially with better competitions coming sooner rather than later, you need to tighten that up. You do not want to make the job easier on the team that's job is to beat you. Don't make it easier on them. It should be pretty straightforward. Do not make it easier on them. If the Bears can avoid that, things can start going pretty well for the Chicago Bears team. Well, better for the Chicago Bears team, and we'll see. Outside of the penalties, which we've already spent a lot of time on, the pass rush. Pass rush is the biggest weakness of this Bears team. And despite having some games in which we've looked a little bit better for it, let's keep in mind, the Bears have 14 sacks over 7 games, which is 25th in the NFL. So not the worst, but they are still towards the bottom of the NFL when it comes down to it. Javon Dexter leads the team with 3.5 sacks. Montez Sweat has 3 sacks. He's right behind him. We lost Dominique Robinson, who was up there as far as the team on sacks as well. And so you look at it like Dayo Odunze has to be better. Austin Booker, in his return, has to give us something that we were missing as well. The pass rush struggles have been evident in every Bears game that we've played so far. And so hopefully we're going to be able to do it. We saw Tyler Huntley, and no knock to Huntley, pick apart the Chicago Bears defense, mainly because we could not get a consistent pass rush on him. Dennis Allen has to find a way to generate that pressure. And that's part of what C.J. Garner-Johnson and his job is going to be here is to help with that. And then lastly, the thing that we've talked a lot about as well, the red zone offense. We got to be better in the red zone as a team. If we're not going to be better in the red zone, it's going to be ugly in this team. And so the Bears have scored a touchdown in the red zone 47.83% of the time. 7th worst in the NFL. We scored touchdowns on 66.7% of goal-to-goal situations, tied for 4th worst. We got to tighten that up if we're going to want to be there. But also, let's be clear here, there's also penalties in the red zone as well. We've been flagged 7 times, second most in the NFL in the red zone. Those are things that you have to tighten up. So when you look at keys for the Chicago Bears offense against the Bengals, the self-inflicted wounds. We got to get that. We have to stop killing drives ourselves. Make them kill our drives. Let's not kill the drives our damn self. That defeats the purpose, right? So make them kill the drives. And we have to get into getting that done. We got to clean up the mistakes. And that goes to a number of players that we got to clean it out. I'm not even going to spend time singling them out. We got to clean that up. Again, against the Bengals, we got to find the rushing attack. Can we get consistent rushing attack? We had over 300 yards in our last 2 wins. And then the rushing attack came right back down, against it in the last game, in our last loss. So we got to tighten that shit up. We cannot have another Ravens performance. Now, with DeAndre Swift being hobbled, that's already going to hurt. Roschon Johnson is also on the injury report. So right now, you're looking at Travis Homer, you're looking at Kyle Monangai, unless something changes with the injury report between now and then. We got to get that shit tightened up. Period, point blank. There are no more excuses for it. We got to get it tightened up. And so we'll see. We'll see when the Bears actually win, though. The Bears have established at least a decent rushing attack. We have to establish a rushing attack against Cincinnati. If we do not do that, it is going to be an ugly game for us. So we got to get it done. DeAndre Swift scored a touchdown in 4 straight games and has gone over 100 yards rushing in each of the last 2 games. Now, without DeAndre Swift being there, we got to see what that's going to look like for this Bears team, but we got to tighten it up. And then lastly, my last key for the Bears here against the Bengals comes down to this. Score touchdowns, don't settle for field goals. Now, there are going to be times where the Bears have to get a field goal to put points on the board. I'm not mad at that, but it's been way too often at this point in the season that we've settled for field goals. We got to get this shit done. That ties into the red zone success for this team. We have to get it done. And so we have an opportunity to get on track here with getting these touchdowns. Let's get into that rhythm. Yes, Caleb, we're also looking at you. You are a big part of us of why we aren't getting touchdowns in the red zone. I'm not putting it all on Caleb, but listen, you're a starting quarterback for an NFL team and the Chicago Bears at that. Guess what? Some unjust weight is going to be on you at the quarterback position playing for the Bears. Deal with it. Get over it. You got to get this shit done. If you don't get it done, it's going to be ugly for you. So overall, I'll say this. When you look at Cincinnati's defense, they're giving up over 31 points per game. 31 points per game. The Chicago Bears have failed to score 21 points for the first time all season last week. Go up and find a way to put up those goddamn points against the Bengals. You want to win this game? You want to start righting the ship? You don't want to fall into a hole like you did after being 4-2 last year and going on a losing streak? Get this deal done with the Bengals on Sunday. Can you get it done? We shall see. Let's hope so. But let me know what you guys think on it down below. As far as the defensive keys, comes down to the defense, man. Do not allow yourself to be carved up. I know our secondary is banged up. We need a better performance from the secondary. We need to get them off the field on third down scenarios and situations, and we need to stop allowing the big plays. That's what we need to do on defensive side of the ball. We have so many injuries and key injuries on that defensive side. I'm looking for Dennis Allen to scheme. And I get it that CJ Gardner-Johnson is new to this team, but he has to come in and make an impact right away. He has to. And like I said in yesterday's episode, you need some assholes on this team. CJ could bring that. He could bring a little bit of that missing edge to this defense as well. Let's hope that we can get that done. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the mailbag today for the Chicago Bears. Before we do that, got to get to a message from DraftKings.
What's going on? It's your boy Haize, and as you guys know, I love sports. That's all I do with my free time is watch any and every sport out there. Because of that, I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to bring you guys a great deal. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Plus, you get 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. Again, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Stay in on the action and use bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. If you love the thrill of live betting, DraftKings has got you covered for that as well. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't even worry about it. You can still join on the action with fun DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have a shot at cash prizes. All you got to do is use our code Bear Central. Again, you're already here at the channel. You're here every single day. Just use the code Bear Central. You guys already know it. So use that code Bear Central and tell them Haize sent you. Peace.
All right. So the first voicemail that we got today, this one's from Bobby Domino.
What's good, man? It's Bobby Domino down here, transplant down here in Texas, man. Just calling out, bro. You know, a lot of folks talking about trading Kmet. I don't know about that one simply because, I mean, if we figure out that there's actually a reason why Caleb won't throw him the ball, you know, that's, to me, Kmet could have a really decent season in this offense. Already he should have about 10 or 15 more receptions just because Caleb won't throw him the ball. Just wide open targets that he's just not throwing him the ball. So he didn't throw him the ball last year when he was open. So is it an issue with Caleb and his progressions, not even looking at the tight end? Or is he too big play center trying to throw it to the wide receivers down the field? I don't understand what the problem is. Is it a personal issue? Did Kmet say something to him? Does he not like him? I mean, what's the issue and what's the problem with the professionalism if it is that they can't get past his whatever his personal hangups are and just throw Kmet freaking football? And Loveland, if the issue is tight ends in general, then Loveland, geez, man. I mean, you got two good tight ends. You got 6 offensive linemen that can come into the game. Darnell Wright, Ozzie Trapillo, excuse me, Ozzie Trapillo. You know, if you're not going to throw to that position, Caleb and Ben Johnson are going to have problems. I mean, ask Pat Mahomes what his career would be like if he never threw the ball to Travis Kelce. You know, just stupidity. I don't understand it. So the trade Kmet talk, I don't get it. And as far as pressure, I'm hoping CJ, GJ, I'm hoping they're bringing him in 5-6 times a game minimum. This guy's going to blitz from the nickel position. You just got to. He's got to come in there and blitz. From what I understand, he was mad wherever he was at previously that they wasn't blitzing enough. You know, they weren't blitzing him enough. And so I'm like, great. Bring this dude in, put him at the nickel, shit, blitz him 8 times a game, you know, for the rest of the season. 10 times a game. Just keep that dude as somebody putting pressure because Allen needs it. He ain't been able to blitz at all because nobody's healthy. So, you know, those two things, throw the freaking ball to the tight end, Caleb. Throw the ball to the freaking tight end, Caleb. Chi-town up, bear down.
Caleb not passing to Cole Kmet. Listen, you're not the first one to ask about this. I know you've sent a voicemail in on this too. I don't know if it's just Cole Kmet missing or if it's a scheme. I don't know. But like you said, I mean, has been open on sometimes and we've missed it. So I don't know if it's a lack of wanting to go to the tight end position from Caleb Williams, if it's just one of his blind spots that he currently has as a quarterback. But regardless of that, I'm not going to say it's intentional. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think that there's anything that we need to make salacious about him not going to the tight ends. I'm just going to say that as of right now, it looks like a hole in his game that he has to tighten up a lot because we've got some talented tight ends, and tight ends are a big part of Ben Johnson's system as well. So you got to get that part tightened up. As far as CJ, GJ, did I say that right? CJ, GJ. Yeah, I said that right. Listen, coming in here, I think when you look at the lack of production that he had in blitzing, is that it's directly correlated with him moving to the safety more over the last couple of years. We're moving him back to the nickel, his more natural position, and where he can wreak terror on the pass rush and even the run defense. Like, I'm not saying he's Kyler Gordon, but he's going to be able to bring in a lot of those similar things for this team, and you need that schematically for Dennis Allen's system. So let's hope that it helps take off and this team get into a much better place. All right, let's get into the next one, man. This one's from Chamo.
Hey, this your boy, Chamo, calling out of Little Rock, Arkansas, man. Look, I just want to call and say a few things, man. I brought the idea a couple of weeks ago, probably like a week or two ago, about trading for a defensive back. And Haize was saying that, like, hey, let's just stand still, let's just stand still for a second. And now we see we didn't trade for one. We went and signed one out of free agents, man. Look at here. I don't know much about about Quincy Garner Jr. I just know, I've seen a game or two here and there with him. But when I go and look up his stats, man, we got a dog. And then I hear about the CBC team talk about this guy and his fieriness, man, his attitude and everything. And I do agree. He need to, dial back some of the craziness, but keep that same energy at the same time, man, because this defense, it do need a dog. I do believe that Jaquan Brisker is a dog. I do believe he's one of them loud vocal speakers that's a dog. I believe that Johnson, our cornerback, he's a dog, man. Look, CJ Gardner Jr., he is a dog, man. This dude got fourth.
Getting a corner. Now, to my credit, when I said that I didn't want to see the Bears trade for a corner, it was with Kyler Gordon was coming back, and before he got placed on IR. So I do like that the Bears, again, didn't give up assets to come in here and get a corner that's going to be able to bring the skill set that we need at that cornerback position, right? And that's what CJ brings to this team. He brings in a needed skill set position that Dennis Allen can use schematically and can get varied in that spot. So him moving back to the nickel after playing safety primarily over the last couple of years, that's going to help him. That's going to help the Chicago Bears. So I love it when you have players that, know the system, they have a positional need, and they fit schematically. And those are things that are all going to help, hopefully, CJ come in here and make an impact right away for the Chicago Bears because we need it. And hopefully he can bring it to this team. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Keys.
What's the deal, fellas? It's your boy Keys, man. Hope all is well with you guys on today. With that being said, man, let's get to it. So we've seen the recent moves of Ryan Post trying to stop the bleeding of our DBs and CJ Gardner-Johnson. It was about a month ago around that time when all the talks were happening. And I mentioned him when he first got cut. At least, in talks with your boys, you know how that goes, fellas. But I do think this is a solid pickup. I think it's an ideal pickup because this is a guy who knows the system. He was drafted by D8. And, you got to get somebody that, when it's a new staff and everything like that, they're going to get the guys that they can trust. And, we got a guy that we can trust, or at least DA can trust, excuse me. It's to be seen on the football field. And, I think it might benefit us to do that and still make a move, giving up a day 3 for maybe a Tyreek Woolen or, Alontae Taylor, who's another guy that they talked about trading for, but that's yet to be seen. But another guy that I'm seeing that's been in the trade talks, I don't think we're going to end up getting Max or Jeffrey Simmons, although I would love that, or Quentin Williams. I think one guy that we have to look at who could be on that block would be Kayvon Thibodeau. I think Thibodeau will bring a little bit of the edge. This is a guy, he's coming up on his contract as well. We got to see what we got because although we've spent all that money, especially with, Sweat and then getting Deo, Sweat has produced, a little bit more, but Deo is the one you're looking at him like, damn, bro, we gave you all this money, you ain't doing shit. Overall, all of it needs to be better. So we'll see what happens with that. And then, we got the game coming up against the Bengals. They came out and said something about Joe Burrow and his AC joint in his shoulder. So all eyes is on you, Caleb. Just like it was for the Cowboys game, bro. You have to solidify your spot and be that guy. I'm not out on you. I think it's still too early to be out on him. But he got to come through. And he got a bunch of games coming up right now where he can excel and be that guy. He just got to be better. You got to make better reads. You got to do everything better. The whole team has to be better. With that being said, we should come out with this W. He should play better. And I expect him to play up a level. Usually when adversity comes, he can be able to show up a little bit, man. And I just think this is a game he has to have similar to what he did with the Cowboys. But as always, fellas, let me know what you think. Shout out, that out.
Getting a guy that DA has a comfortability with is a great point, right? Because at this point in the season, going into week 9, you don't want to have to worry if somebody can learn or grasp your system. So you brought in somebody who is a fit for your system, who understands your system, and who was drafted by your defensive coordinator. So that's great. As far as the trade, I'm not mad at the Bears if they give up a day 3 pick. I think that's something that I'm not mad. I'm never mad at a day 3 pick to improve your team. You just got to make sure that it's the right move and it's not somebody that a year from now we're going to look at and say, hey, we shouldn't have gave up that pick, right? So that's what it comes down to for this team, and hopefully we end up getting that. As far as all eyes on Caleb, you're right. All eyes are always going to be on Caleb Williams, and how he performs is a huge part of what this team can be this season, and we need to get better out of him for that, and let's hope that we do this upcoming game. So thank you for that, Keys. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas, man. I just wanted to call in and just give my thoughts on old Benjamin. Despite of all the chaotic stuff that's going on around the franchise, I'm more confident than I was with, some of the previous regimes because, Ben Johnson went through this very thing with the Lions last year. Toward the end of the year, Lions started having injuries on that defense left and right, even worse so than us. But the leadership of Dan Campbell and Ben's ability to call plays still really set them up to where they kept on winning games. They were right there. They kept on winning games, even though they had a bunch of injuries. So, Benjamin, you've been here before, brother. Just last year, you were in this very same situation. So I believe that he will overcome it, and I think everything's going to be okay. I will say 2 or 3 more bad games in a row from Caleb. You can't. Hey, man, I might have to go put my Bajan jersey on myself. But if anything, not saying bench him, but sometimes you just need that fresh perspective. Sometimes when a guy sits down for a little while for a game or two, he has a broader perspective, of what he's doing wrong, and he can fix it a lot quicker and get right back on track. I don't know if that's what he needs or, just restructuring the entire system is what's needed. I'm not sure, but I think Ben will figure it out. My only critique to Ben this last game was, it goes back to, some of my initial concerns before he got here, which now that he's here, I love him. But before he got here, I was like, man, I don't know. I think he's going to get a little too cute. In those obvious run situations, are we going to draw up some weird shit and have him throwing the ball all over the place? And I felt like, in this past game against the Ravens, start off on that first drive, running the ball great. For whatever reason, after that first drive, run game started to disappear a little bit from what it looked like to me. I just don't want you to get too cute, Benjamin. On those, we are a run first team. That needs to be what are the basics of what we're doing. We're putting too much pressure on Caleb. I even, going back from being forced to watch Dak Prescott over the years, in the beginning of his career, they tried to keep him out of situations where he's throwing a lot. So maybe that's what we need to do. But let me know what y'all think. Text us up, Bear Down.
Darius, I need you to wake up, bro. We aren't a run-first team. Now, if you want to have the conversation that we should be a run-first team, that's different. But even Detroit under under Ben Johnson, even with how good that rushing attack were, they weren't a run-first team, right? Ben Johnson had to strike and find that balance between the pass and the run game. As years went by that he was there, he found more and more balance there. But even then, it still was more leaning towards more pass leaning than rush leaning. But I get what you're saying. We do need better balance for sure. I don't care if we run first, pass first, just balance. Bring that balance and scheme it correctly, right? And I get that you've had a concern over Ben Johnson getting too cute for a while, and I understand that. But yeah, I think when it just comes down to it, he has to trust. You say you trust these guys, go out and show it and trust it. Bring that balance to this team because that's how you can beat teams in the NFL is with balance, right? Especially when some of your position groups are a little bit weaker than others. You have to have that balance. You have to scheme with intention. And it seemed like we were doing that for 2 weeks, but then it seemed like we fell off of that last week against Baltimore. Let's get back to getting that balance and get back to getting that intention with our play calling, and I think we'll be all right. All right, let's get into this last voicemail, man. This one's from Kenny.
What's up, CBC? First and foremost, y'all fucking channel is amazing. For real, for real. I'm Kenny. I'm calling from Texas. So first and foremost, right, so Ben Johnson puts together such an amazing opening script. The first couple of plays that he comes up with always seem to work, but yet we can't finish, right? So last year, we were frustrated that the Bears couldn't start off strong. Now it's like we can't finish strong. Hypothetically speaking, if Caleb plays the exact same for the next couple of starts, do you think it would be beneficial for the Bears to sit him like the Panthers did Bryce Young, or would that fuck up his mental? So I'm not out on Caleb. I think he's going to become like a Baker Mayfield type of player for like his next jump, and like his ceiling is still probably higher than that. But I just really think that his first year of not having that veteran QB to lean on or that competent coaching staff held him back. So, I figured that was a nice little question to pose, I feel like Bears going to bounce back for sure, especially since we need to prove the haters wrong. But that's all I got, though, man. Thank y'all for what y'all do. We appreciate you. Much love, y'all. Take it easy.
No, I don't think right now, Benson. I think that's why we brought in Keenum. Like, I think that part of why we brought him in here is have that veteran in Caleb's ear. I don't think they're going to bench Caleb. I don't think that we're too far gone at this point. At this point, Caleb needs to learn. And I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm not saying you're crazy for asking the question. It's just I want Caleb to learn it. Like through the fire. You want to be great? Go out there and learn to do this through the fire. Go out there and tough this out. Go out there and show that you can progress because Caleb needs that. Like you said, I'm not out on Caleb. I understand there are a lot of people that are. I'm not out on Caleb yet. In yesterday's episode, I made the comparison to Josh Allen. I'm not saying that Caleb's going to be Josh Allen, but I'm just saying that we've seen examples of how quarterbacks, some of them can be late blossomers, and that doesn't mean that they can't still round out to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. We just got to see if Caleb's going to be that guy and what his story is going to tell. But no, I wouldn't bench him personally, but I love to hear from you guys and how everybody who's listening to this feels on that down below. That's my time for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I can't stress enough how important you are and how amazing you are for this, but that's going to do it for today's episode. The Bears have the talent, but it's time to stop beating themselves. It's time to clean up the penalties, execute in the red zone, and this team can still turn things around, I think, at times this season. But I want to hear from you guys. Let us know how you feel on everything down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. Send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.